So this week's parsha is double parsha, but we're going to focus on Vayelech. Vayelech on in Perek Lamed Aleph, page 1096. So here's the mitzvah. We'll start with Pasuk Yotes, verse 19. And it says here, right, page 1096, verse 19, towards the bottom, Ata kisvu lochem es hashira hazos.
But this is the song, not the...
You should write the song.
This
now,
is the Hafra Hazinim, the coming out, no?
So what does that mean? You should write down this song. So Rashi himself says, like Irving, that this song is actually referring to the next parsha. The next week's parsha is going to be Hazinu, and in Hazinu, it's called you'll see on page 1101, here they call this the Song of Moses. So Irving says, well, look at page 1101. That's called a song. When Moshe says he has like a little bit of a poem. He goes through a lot of verses and he explains the different ideas. And you could see it's written in a different type of text. It's like a half a verse and a half a verse. Up to the point that in the Torah it's also written like this. It's written like one part over here, one part over here, and then the next line is written in the middle. It's like bricks, like laying bricks. So it's two, and then one in the middle, two, one in the middle. So that's a shira. So Rashi says that you should write down the shira. Rashi, on the bottom line of the second column in our pasuk says, you should write the Hazinu. You should write Parshas Hazinu. That's next week's parsha. You should write that all down. Write down that song that the Jews wrote. It's written in poetic form, and they always chant it. The schools, sometimes they have their kids memorize that.
Is this an individual thing, or is it for the Jewish people to write it down, keep it written? It's not an individual command, is it?
Right, it's for the Jewish people.
Yes.
Jewish people to have it written down. So that's how Rashi learns. That's Rashi's idea here. Now, but our sages learn a different idea from this pasuk, because we learn out that the Torah is called a shira, like a song, and from here we learn out that there's a mitzvah to write this song, to write the Torah. That's what the Gemara learns out. The Gemara learns this out, that when it says you should write this down, the shira, it means to write the whole Torah. A mitzvah to write the Torah.
So when you have a shir, the lesson, the shir comes from the same word as Hebrew letters to song. You know, you're giving a
shir. No.
You're not similar.
Shir.
Sounds similar.
Shir, Shin Yud Reish, is a song.
Shin, yeah.
But what we have here is a shiur, which is similar to the word measurement.
But it sounds very similar.
Sounds very similar. Yes, that's for sure.
So we're having a shiur right now.
We're having a shiur.
So why do we call it a shir? Or is that
they leave out the people just swallow up the ayin and the vav, shiur. Like we say in the morning, these are the things she'ein lahem shiur. These are the things that don't have any amount. Like gemilas chesed. To do kindness, there's no measure to how much kindness you could do. You could do kindness one in the morning. You could do kindness the whole day. There's ein lahem shiur. There's no shiur. Now, this mitzvah is to write a Torah. So that means everyone, right, the 613 mitzvahs, this is the 613th mitzvah counted. Because it's towards the end of the Torah, according to the Rambam and the Chinuch, this is the last mitzvah that we have. It's number 613. Now, so how do you do it? So the real way would be if you write it yourself, because it says in the verse, kisvu, right? Ata Kisvu, you should write it. Kisvu lachem, you should write for yourselves. That's Ashirazos. You should write it down.
Rashi was saying that this refers to the poem that Moses wrote next.
Right. Right.
And the Gemara is saying that this actually refers to the whole Torah?
Right. Right. Exactly. So, therefore, this is the mitzvah to either write a whole Torah, right? That you should jot down write down, get a Sefer Torah. If you're able to write it yourself, you should write it yourself.
Last week I was at the completion of the Torah. Do they usually time it out for this parsha?
No.
Because
No.
Sunday, it was during this.
Yeah, but then
just worked out that way.
Yeah, it just worked out because or else you can't only do what the completion of the Torah, like it's called Chnasa Sefer Torah, when they inaugurate a new Torah and they give it to a shul.
Yeah.
They make a party. If someone, when do they do that? If someone has the ability to actually get a Torah, so what's he going to do with it? So he'll maybe lend it to the shul. But that can't be planned to do it, only when they complete the Torah, because then you're only going to do that once a year, one month a year. No, so we do it anytime. They happen to be at this time. But the idea is that a person should write it themselves. Now, if you can't write it, you're thinking, let's say I'm not a scribe, I don't know how to write it so carefully. So then you have another option. The other option is you could hire someone. You could make a shliach, make a messenger, and he will be your messenger to do it for you. Because we know that the Torah, there's an idea in the Torah called a shliach. A shliach is a messenger. So the messenger is like you. That's the idea, right? Just like we find certain places that you could use shlichus. You could use a messenger. You could use a messenger for different things. We don't find it by getting married, usually practically, but you could send a messenger to get you married. If you give a ring, give it to a messenger, he could go get married. He could marry you off.
But tell us that's where it stops, right?
What? So that's an idea of shlichus, right? We find it by when you sell your chametz, right? When you sell your chametz before Pesach, so you go to the Rav and you sell him your chametz, so you make him your agent to sell your chametz. That's how you're able you don't have to go yourself to the guy, right? You don't know which guy to go to. So you make the rabbi your shliach, and he is your agent to sell your chametz for you. So it's like you're selling your chametz. That's called a shliach. That's called a messenger. He's your agent. And when he does it, it's like you did it. The Torah learns out from an extra word. A few places we learn out that an agent is like you. So it's like you're putting the ring on her finger, and it's like you are actually selling your chametz.
We talked about the whole idea of even in davening, like to hear and is to we talked about that.
But there works a little different in terms of you hear. It's like you said it. But here, it's an agent that when he does the action, he's your agent. It's like you're doing it, and it goes to a lot of laws throughout the whole Gemara and a lot of ideas in Judaism. You can pick any part of the Torah. Shlichus works. There's such a thing as shlichus, except it does not work on mitzvos which are dependent for me to do with my own body.
B'dikat chametz, you have to use
B'dikas chametz, you can make a shliach to check for your chametz. So the night of the 14th, we're supposed to check all the corners of the house, make sure there's no chametz left. You could appoint an agent to do that.
Okay.
And it's like you did it.
I thought that was one of the ones that you couldn't, but I must be wrong.
We could go through all the mitzvahs. It's amazing how each one plugs in that you could send an agent. An agent is it's called shlucho shel adam. An agent of a person is kimoso. It's like him. Shlucho shel adam kimoso. So it's like you did it. The case where it doesn't work is by a mitzvah which is dependent on you doing with your body, like putting on tefillin or davening. These are things which you have to do yourself. So you can't send an agent. You can't say, I'm going to sleep in bed, and I'll send an agent to go to daven early in the morning, and I can go sleep.
But you can send the agent to say Kaddish.
You could have an agent, but it's not the idea of it's not. It doesn't work that it's like you're saying Kaddish. But the idea is that he's your agent. He's doing it for you, and he's doing it in the merit of someone who passed away. So it doesn't work that it's like you're saying it, but it works that he's doing it for the one who passed away, and it will be a merit for that person. That's the idea. It's more like you don't even need the Torah to let you do it. Anyone could learn some Torah for the merit of that person, or you could say Kaddish. Someone could say Kaddish. Anyone could say Kaddish for that merit of that person. So that's the idea of shliach. Now, but in terms of mitzvos, like putting on tefillin, putting on tzitzis, that is not possible to do with an agent, because the Torah wants you to do it on your body. You can't send someone else to do it and you get credit for that. That much we don't do. That far it doesn't go. Tzitzis is an opportunity you get, as long as it's light out, for those 10, 12 hours. It's only for you to do is when you put it on your body. You're wearing a pair of tzitzis, you get a mitzvah every minute. But it's an easy mitzvah, but it's only for you. It's only you.
Interestingly enough, you can send the shlich to do a mitzvah on another person's body.
Like what?
Bris.
Bris. That's a good example. There is shlichus, right? Bris milah. Bris milah, to do a circumcision. So not every father knows how to do a bris milah, right? I don't know if you're trained. How your hands?
I don't think you want to practice the first time.
I know a moel who hires the moel whenever he had a son. He didn't do it on his son.
Why?
He was just afraid on his son.
Okay.
Anybody else find his
But the idea is that there's a mitzvah in the Torah. One of the first, right, going to the other side of the 613, right in the beginning of the Torah, probably the second mitzvah, is to do bris milah. Right? It says, Himol lachem kol zachar. One should give a bris to any zachar, any male child. You give a bris. Now, let's say you don't know how to do it. Your hands are not so steady, or you're not practiced. You have to be practiced. So then you could send a shliach. You could send a messenger. So you're going to notice that if you ever listen closely, the moel, he always says, what does he ask you?
Would you like to do this, or am I your
shliach? So he'll give you the knife and say, he'll say, no, but it's a way of when you give him the knife, that's how you're making him your agent.
Actually creates interesting question. Some of us didn't get a bris at 8 days, and I know people, not going to point fingers, who have to do bris in their adult age.
Yeah.
So the question by Torah, do you have to do it, again, it was a moel who done the bris, but technically speaking, your father has to do it or you has to do it?
Now, so the mitzvah really is for the father. It starts out as a mitzvah on the father. When the boy becomes 13, he takes, if the father doesn't do it, the community and the court should steps in if the father doesn't do it. Mm-hmm. Now, if neither of them did it, so when he becomes 13, then the obligation comes upon the child also.
So here's interesting obligation where the mitzvah on yourself, you can delegate somebody.
So yes,
it's technically possible.
So it's an interesting mitzvah, pointing out that it's a mitzvah on himself, but he can appoint an agent to take the knife, and he'll be the one who's doing the mitzvah as your agent. But it's like you did the mitzvah. You'll get credit. You'll get credit because he's just your agent. So now you apply that to the mitzvah of writing a Torah. Writing a Torah is the same thing. If you're not fluent in writing all the letters yet straight, it's a big skill. So what you do is you hire a sofer and you say, I want you to write a Torah for me as my agent. And then he's going to be doing it for you. It's like you're writing every letter of the Torah.
Same as mezuzah.
A mezuzah, you can also hire an agent to put it up on your house.
Are you obligated to write the mezuzah, or you are obligated just to put it on
Now,
your house?
so here's the question: what's the mitzvah of mezuzah? What's the mitzvah of mezuzah? So the mitzvah of mezuzah is, although you might say, well, let's look at Kriya Shema. What do we say every day in Shema?
You should put a sign on your door posts or your.
So
I think an agent should be able to do it.
Well, what does it say? What's the verse first in Shema? So the last, we say it twice. In the first chapter, what? It says on your doorposts. Okay, good. Now we have the subject. What's the action?
Place.
It says, "O chesavtam." Says you shall write. Chesavtam. You shall write up the mezuzah on your doorpost. Now, it sounds like the mitzvah is to write it, but the mitzvah is not to write it, right? And the biggest proof is just look around. You know, I didn't write it, mezuzah, but the mitzvah is that you should put it, like Rabbi's saying, even though it says it's misleading, even though it says you should write it, but the mitzvah is really to place it on your doorpost. Now, that's now the question here would be, if you get an agent, interesting question. He's helping you do your mitzvah. Yeah, he's helping you. But you would have I guess you end up with the mezuzah on your door, so you get the mitzvah at the end of the day. Even though he's doing the action, it's an interesting case where it splits. It splits. Like in terms of putting up a gate, we spoke a few weeks ago about putting up a gate. That's another mitzvah. Putting up a micah, a fence. So there, we said, I don't know if we brought this up, but if you don't know how to do it good, if you don't know how to build well, you could hire a shliach. You could hire a messenger, an agent, and he's putting up the gate. It's like you put up the gate. And you get the mitzvah.
Well, so it's the same with the mezuzah.
So it seems that mezuzah will probably be the same thing.
Because a woman would have an obligation. Like, let's say a guy didn't have any tools, didn't know how to do it, or a woman doesn't have a husband to do it, or whatever.
Yeah.
She has a house.
Yes.
And she needs someone to do it for her.
Yes.
But she'd have the obligation to clap it up.
So a lady has an obligation to make sure that she has a mezuzah on her house also.
So she would have to she might get someone to do it for her.
Right. So a lady has a mitzvah to put up a fence. She also has a mitzvah to put up a mezuzah. Yes. So she might have to get someone to put up for her. Yes. So she'll get a shliach. She'll get a messenger, and then it's like she put it up herself. But in terms of the Torah is different. Writing the Torah is different than the mitzvah of mezuzah, because, like we said here, the first part, there's no mitzvah to write a mezuzah. There's a mitzvah to put up a mezuzah on every doorway in your house. Right? So as long as it's a proper doorway and it's a proper room, the room would be, let's say 9 feet, let's say by 9 feet. If it's a proper room and a proper house, each doorway should have a mezuzah. But you don't have to write the mezuzah, you just have to make sure you have a mezuzah on the door. But by Torah, but by this last mitzvah, the writing a Torah, the mitzvah is kisvu. There's a mitzvah to write the Torah. Now, so if you don't know how to write, but you can hire an agent, he'll help you write it. But it's like you wrote it. That's the difference between mezuzah and Torah.
But how do you know that the same word is used for the mezuzah, and it refers to having it put up, or to putting up, but it says to write, and here it says to write. So how do you know that writing means to put up, and this writing doesn't mean to just have one around?
How would we learn that out?
Yeah, like how?
If you're going to put on a shrine one, you have to save beer with a short jacket.
We would have to look up the source, but I have the Beis Halevi. I have a source who he's quoting. I'll read you how he says it. He says that it's not similar to mezuzah. Mezuzah ladies are obligated, but he says there lo have haksiva hamitzvah. The mitzvah is not to write it. Rak ha-mitzvah the mitzvah is only sheyi aloi mezuzah bebeisoi. Mezuzah, you should have a mezuzah, that's the mitzvah, to have a mezuzah on every doorpost. So, and as long as you buy it, you can even buy it from the store. You could go into the store and buy a mezuzah. You don't even have to hire an agent to write it. Right, that's the difference. By Sefer Torah, you have to hire an agent to write it. Mezuzah, you walk into the store, pick one out, You pay him whatever it is, a few dollars, and then you get it. It's a protection for the house. So therefore, that's a little bit of a difference. But by Sefer Torah, the kesiva be'atzma, the actual writing, have a hamitzvah, is the actual mitzvah. Now, we could look up further. Now we have to go further back to the source to see how he got that. We could look up the Gemaras. We have to look up the source. But here, at least I'm quoting to you the Beis Halevi. He writes this distinction. So far, so good? Any questions?
Does the agent get merit? So if I hire somebody to write a Torah, does he also get a mitzvah in any way? Or is it all like it's all
The
mine?
agent will get merit. He will get a merit. Because the rule is...
He has to have in mind every letter that he writes. That's L'Shem Shamayim.
Yeah, he's doing a mitzvah. When you're going to hire the scribe is getting a mitzvah when he's writing it, because he is writing a Torah. He's not going to get a mitzvah like you. You're going to get the credit for the mitzvah. Right? He's an agent. But he's getting credit of taking part of a mitzvah. He gets a part of it. He's actually, he's creating a Torah. He's writing a Torah. So he's going to get credit of, number one, being involved in a mitzvah. He's going to be working hard in a mitzvah. You get credit for that. Up to the point that the Gemara says, if a person has a choice of doing a mitzvah by himself or sending an agent, so you might say, well, I could just send an agent. Right? Is there any difference between sending an agent and doing the mitzvah yourself?
If you fully are capable and able and have the time to do it yourself, then let's say an easier mitzvah, then the person should do it. If you can put a mezuzah on your door, let's say, then why would you hire somebody unless you just, if you just say, I want to
Okay, what about a fence? What about putting up a fence?
A fence is a little more difficult, but if it was something that's with a person has the ability to do, and they have the time to do it, and the resources and the strength, and they just feel like lying down on the couch, let someone do it for me, it sort of lessens the...
It shows a disdain for the mitzvah.
Yeah,
what if your motivation is to help somebody else also get credit for the mitzvah, right? Like you're saying that if you send an agent, they also get credit. So instead of just taking all the mitzvah for myself, now I'll get the full mitzvah and my agent will also get credit.
No, but if over here we say it's your mitzvah, so you don't have an obligation to share your mitzvah. This is incumbent on you, and it's your merit. It's your zechut that you could get the mitzvah. You don't have it to share it with anyone. It's not like it's for like a joint community building, and maybe someone else should get a part of it. This is your house is your mitzvah. It's only for you. You don't have it's not even an idea that maybe you should, because it's specifically for you to do. So you should do it yourself and show the proper respect for the mitzvah. That's the idea. You should try to do it yourself. Now, but right now the question is, let's say putting up a fence. Let's take it one level higher. Should you do it yourself? If you're able to. If you're not able to, you got to hire a shliach. But let's say you're able to. But you have to work hard. Is it better for you to do it yourself or send a shliach?
If you're able to do it yourself.
Yeah. So you do it yourself. So Mike?
But if you're able to do it yourself and it takes you 2 months because you have other work that you got to do and you can't dedicate,
No, so you quickly got to get an agent because you shouldn't be living there. You should right. Then you're not able.
Well, it's physically capable of doing it.
No. Yeah, so that's called not able.
Okay.
You got to quickly get up a fence there. You shouldn't be living in a house without a fence. Someone could go up to the roof. Very dangerous. So that's called not able to. So, but Mike is saying the right answer that the Gemara says, mitzvah boy, yoiser mi b'shluchai. The rule is mitzvah boy. The mitzvah is for him to do it more, yoiser b'shluchai, more than the messenger, more than the agent. It's a mitzvah for you. Why? So there's Rashi. Rashi says because if you work in a mitzvah, you work hard in a mitzvah, so therefore you're getting credit. You get credit for all the hard work. The rule is the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos. Right? Remember we looked up Pirkei Avos a few weeks ago. So that's the ethics of our fathers, which is one of the Mishnahs. And in that Mishnah it says that according to the tsar, according to the energy and pain that you put into every mitzvah, that is your Reward. Lefum tzara, according to the tar, agra. That's your schar, your reward that you get. So therefore, Hashem looks at every person. He doesn't just say, well, he did this mitzvah and he did this mitzvah. They all get the same reward. Everyone gets the reward according to how much effort they put in. So if a person had, let's say for one person it could be very, very difficult to do a mitzvah, and for another it's very easy. In Russia, when they would have to do, a bris milah, they would do it in hiding or something. They would have to. It was putting their lives in danger, and they would it would be top secret, and it would go in a room, and no one would. It was a very scary thing. So for someone doing a bris milah there, he wouldn't get the same reward. He would get much higher than someone who just comes here. And here you do a bris milah, it's among happiness and everyone's around and giving you support, and there's nothing to be scared of. So they wouldn't get the same reward. It depends how hard each mitzvah, right? One person might get more reward than another for a particular mitzvah, because Hashem takes into account the energy and the worry and the pain, all the pain Hashem takes into account. So for one person to learn Torah maybe is easier. So for me, maybe to learn just a Mishnah, I don't know if it will be the same reward as someone else who has to work hard and has to break his teeth on the words and learn the words and finally gets the Mishnah, so it won't be the same credit. Hashem takes everything into account. He takes all the tzar and he puts that all into account. So therefore, if a person does a mitzvah but he just sends an agent, so he's losing out on all the tzar, all the energy which Hashem takes into account. He's not going to get that much reward. The agent will get that reward because the agent was schwitzing for a mitzvah. The agent was trying hard for the mitzvah. The agent will get that part.
I mean, you could take it. You could just say, someone put your tefillin on for you. Here's my arm.
Now,
someone could do that. Would they have credit for it? Put it on.
Well, you do have to make a bracha. Well, it's an interesting question because you're right. You're going to be losing out on the action.
You get the mitzvah, but if someone
did it
because you're just too lazy to.
So you're going to get the mitzvah, but you're going to lose out on all the reward. Yes, of the energy and the pain and the trying, and you got to master it. It's not easy. You got to see exactly where to put it on the muscle. The lower half of the muscle should be you shouldn't be moving around, and then on the head is also not simple, right? So tefillin looks like a very easy mitzvah, but you have to actually read up on it. Where on the head does it go? It has to be above the hairline, right? But people don't realize that. They just sometimes it dips down below onto the forehead. That's a problem. It has to be above the hairline, and if someone's hairline has receded, they have to know.
They have to know where it used to be.
They have to know where it used to be. Because that's where we judge it. We judge it from the hairline where it was. And therefore you have to, number one, you should make sure that you see where that it's above the hairline. And in the back, there's a little bone in the back, has to be, that's where the knot should be, right below that bone, on the bone, below the bone.
Okay, so I can understand how an agent could get the mitzvah for doing this deed. But ostensibly he's gonna get paid, no matter what.
He is getting paid, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of like we talk, if he's gonna get paid, he wouldn't do it unless he wasn't getting paid, right?
Right.
So where's the real mitzvah? I can see the mitzvah of doing it for charity.
You want to know why he's doing it? You want to know why he should get a mitzvah if he's getting paid?
Yeah.
So the answer is, but he's not getting the mitzvah of Ksivas Sefer Torah.
Okay, I understand that.
Kisvu Lachem Es Hashira Zois. To write this song, he's not getting that mitzvah.
Okay, I understand that.
Right? He's going to get credit for working in a mitzvah, for worrying about a mitzvah, for having pain in a mitzvah. That's, when you get, you build a sukkah, that's all part of taking part of a mitzvah, of taking a little bit of the energy. He'll get that credit.
I've never heard of this mitzvah. Honestly, is it one of the 613? Because I've never heard of it.
The number 613.
This is the last mitzvah that this agent gets.
That's why you never heard it. People, they don't get to the end. But we finally reach the finish line. This is the last mitzvah. 613.
Okay.
Yeah. Right? So you'll look it up. You can even see, they even bring it down on the bottom here. page 1098. Read the bottom of page 1098 on the right column in the English. You'll see they even give a little synopsis over here. And they actually on bottom of 1098. You have to,
Oh yeah.
So there they write on the second column there that this is actually a real mitzvah. And he brings down from the Rambam, and he brings down from the Chinuch that this is it's an actual mitzvah. It's a real mitzvah. Now it happens to be a little bit. It's not the easiest mitzvah because you got to be able to pay for it.
It says here a commandment that can be fulfilled by writing a single letter of a complete scroll.
Yes, but
I did that last Sunday.
Yeah, no, but I believe it means keep on reading. You have to keep on reading. That's in a case where it's missing a letter. Sometimes you'll find a Torah that becomes invalid. Puzzle. Why is it invalid? Because they left out a letter.
But if they're completing a Torah scroll, and there's like a few people that are having one letter, completes the scroll. I mean, it's not valid before, but it's valid once the.
But you are all agents. You are all the agent for the one who actually paid for the Torah. The one who sponsored the whole Torah. He hired the sofer to be the agent. He hired the scribe, and he's also giving you a merit that you could take part in his mitzvah, just like the sofer took part. Okay, you're taking part, so therefore sometimes they even pay money for this.
Oh yeah, but if you pay money for it, then
but you're still an agent. He's still going to get that mitzvah of writing a Torah.
According to some, the purchase of books expounding on the Torah constitutes fulfillment of this commandment.
Right.
But it doesn't say anything about the agent getting any kind of a mitzvah for doing the work.
For a Torah scroll?
It says the Jew who gets the Torah and hires the agent.
Yes.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mention about the agent.
Yeah, what, that he gets partial reward? Yeah, because that's not that's not his agenda. They're not coming to tell you about rewards for agents. His agenda is to tell you how you could do the mitzvah of writing a Torah. So you can do a mitzvah of writing a Torah either by writing yourself or getting an agent. The agent himself, he's going to have a part in the mitzvah. He's going to be writing a Torah, creating it before he writes the letter of God. He has to have in mind when he's writing the Torah, by the way, that he's doing it for this mitzvah of writing a Torah. You can't just think, well, I'm just going to copy it onto parchment. That's not good. It has to be written for the intent of writing a Torah. And before they write God's name, some scribes, they go dip into the mikvah before they write God's name each day. So he's actually taking part of the Torah, but he's going to get the mitzvah of the working in a mitzvah. It's called mitzvah by Yosemi B'Shluchai. You're going to get the mitzvah of working. That's why you shouldn't send an agent, because then you're going to lose out on that idea.
If you you have your hand on the scribe's hand as he's writing the letter, it's supposed to be like you're doing it too, in a way.
I've heard that too. I mean, we did that here. We've done it a few times like that. There was a concept of pay $2 and to write a letter and partake of the completion.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You're partaking in it, right? But the one who paid, $80,000, $50,000, $40,000, he's the one who's going to get this mitzvah, right? As I said, the mitzvahs are not some mitzvahs. You have to pay money. This is a lot of money for mitzvahs. It's probably one of the most expensive mitzvahs that we'll find out there, right? Usually you
it's right up there with being Jewish.
Very high, yeah.
What about community Torah? A lot of times they do community scrolls. They collect money from the whole shul, and they say you can buy a parsha. I twice participated in that, in one Torah scroll, but a couple of parshas, another couple. It wasn't one major donator.
Right. So that's called a shutuf. A shutuf is a partner, right? A shutfim, right? Is that what they call it in Israel? Shutfim, shutuf. That's a partner. Now, a partnership, I believe they say that maybe it's a hard thing because you have to own it yourself. I believe they say it should be owned by yourself, but you're taking part in a mitzvah. It's taking part. So that's what we do here. So we try to get involved in the mitzvah. But in terms of so we have now options. Either you write it yourself. You could buy it. You could hire a sofer to write it, hire a scribe to write it. And now what you're pointing out is one other way here. There's two other ways, but one other way is if it's an invalid Torah. So what you do is, right, let's say you lost a letter, or the letter is there, but let's say it's puzzle, it's invalid. Maybe there's a problem that it got, let's say, a scratch in the middle of it, and there's now the letter is not complete. Either the letter is not complete, or the letter is touching a different letter. Every letter, if you look carefully at the Torah, not one letter will touch the next. It's always what we call mukaf gavil. It's mukaf. Mukaf means hekef. It's surrounded. Every letter is surrounded by what? By parchment. Every letter you can see is all surrounded not by a different letter. No letters touch. Not one letter touches. Each letter is surrounded by parchment. So if one letter happens to touch, the Sefer Torah is invalid until you fix it. So if you get a hold of that Sefer Torah, you buy it, and then you fix that letter, so now you made the Torah kosher. So then it's considered that you wrote the whole Torah. Then you get a mitzvah also of having a Sefer Torah. That's another option how to get a Torah. Go look for a shul that has a puzzle Torah and offer to buy it for $1,000. And then you go to the sofer and ask him to fix it. So that also could work. That's an option. But in terms of, let's say, buying it ready-made, right? Here you can't go into the store like you go into the store for mezuzah. Mezuzah, you could say, can I have a mezuzah? Take a mezuzah for $30. Okay, here's a mezuzah, put it up. Here you can't go into the store and buy a Sefer Torah ready-made. Because...
last time you bought a mezuzah, they're way more than $30.
No, they actually they start
scroll?
The scroll.
They actually $100.
No. They actually start at. I actually have in my house mezuzahs from my father-in-law. My father-in-law's a scribe.
You got a.
So he gave me no, but $40. $40.
40, yeah.
You could get even cheaper. I have $40 kosher.
You can buy them at Chabad, sells them.
Kosher mezuzahs, $40. There are levels, right?
We'll talk.
Sure. There are levels. You could buy one that is bigger. If you get one that's bigger, it's harder to. You need thicker strokes if it's bigger because you're making the letters bigger. And you could buy artistic ones, right? You could find two different sofer. My handwriting might not be as nice as someone else's. You pay for a nicer script because there's a mitzvah. What's the name of the mitzvah? Mehudar. There's a mitzvah to make the mitzvahs beautiful. So we're going to buy an esrog soon. You could buy this type of esrog or a nicer esrog. So people, there are different prices. Depending on how beautiful you want it, you could go up to higher prices. But $40 kosher mezuzah. Yeah, I could give you a kosher mezuzah. Good to go from any rabbi. It's checked already. So that you just have to, you don't need to have a beautiful one. You have to know what your budget is, because you got to first make sure you got the basic mitzvah. And if God sends you a few $1,000s, good business deal, then you could say, I want to move it up. God sends you a few $1,000s, then you can move it up and say, okay, I want to go for a nice one. But this is the basic mitzvah of his, right? That's very beautiful. So he's saying here that in terms of Torah, it seems that a person cannot just go into the store and buy a Torah. He would have to have the Torah. We have to check it out. We have to go into Israel's, see what they do there. I would believe that they leave out the last letter if they're selling a Torah, because you can't buy a Torah ready-made, because you have to write it also. There's two parts to the mitzvah. There's the writing it and the holding it. You have to also hold on to it. That's why if someone gets it, you can't just donate it to the shul.
Okay, so
you should lend it.
Does it have to be done by the scribe? Like, let's say you have very bad handwriting, but you want to fill that last letter in yourself.
So they help you do it.
Might not look so nice like all the other letters, but it's okay though still, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
Speaking.
What, if it's not neat?
Yeah, like,
what did you do last week with that?
No, I didn't. I'm just saying, though, like, if someone fills it in, completes it, obviously their handwriting's not going to be like the scribe who wrote it,
It could be that he like shows you an outline. Maybe he has an outline.
Yeah.
He probably has an outline, and you just like fill it in. I don't think he leaves it up to your imagination how to make that lamed, because it's complex. They have outlines. The last letter is a lamed, but le'ene kol Yisrael, the last word. So this is the idea. Now, what Mike pointed out, I want to just expound on Mike's point now, that the Rosh, he's in the back of the Gemara, right? Rosh, it stands for Rabbeinu Usher. Now, he brought down the halacha. So he writes that nowadays you could have a fulfillment of this mitzvah by buying a lot of different books which expound and explain the Torah. That's what he says. The Rosh's words, I wrote it down. He says, in the earlier generations, they would write a Torah and they would actually study from the Torah, right? That's why you find in the Gemara that they would actually take out the Torah, and if you find the lost Torah, so you have an obligation to roll it every few weeks so it shouldn't get stale. That was part of the mitzvah of returning a lost object, is you would have to roll it. And those were the earlier generations. But today, what do? We don't usually use Torahs at home. Even if you actually were merited to write a Torah, you would lend it to the shul. But what we and then they would read from it on Shabbos or Monday. But he says that nowadays the mitzvah also has a aspect that every person should have let's say a Mishnah and different authorities which expound on all the Torah. And he wants to say that because the point of the mitzvah, what's the point of the mitzvah? Why did Hashem say write a Torah? Point is, so you should have
to study, to learn.
You should have a Torah. They're ready to study, up to the point that's why the mitzvah is that every Jew should have a Torah, because you should have a Torah, because in case you're at home and it's and your wife says, okay, I'll give you a half hour, you could learn some Torah. You say, yeah, but I don't have any books here. So you should always have a Torah in the house. You could open up the Torah. We'll read up some Torah. We'll learn it. We'll think about it. That's why you should. That's the idea behind the mitzvah. So based on that, the Rosh says that nowadays we usually don't read from the actual scroll. Now we have like all the other books, right? You can see libraries of books and books. So therefore nowadays, that's how you could have a fulfillment of the mitzvah, by buying all these books and thinking the books that are on your level and to learn it. That's what he wants to say, because the idea is that as far as your library is, that's the extent, the limit of how smart you're going to be in Torah, right? You can't be smarter than your library, unless you're part of a shul where they have a library. But as far as the extent of how far you could reach out and how many books you could get a hold of, that's how wise you could turn, and that's how wise you could reach. So therefore, one of the great authorities says you should try to buy as much as you're able to, if you see a nice book which you think you'll gain from in terms of Torah, you should buy it, and that will be the Rosh himself holds this as a kiyum, that you could actually get a fulfillment part of the mitzvah of writing a Torah by doing this, because then you'll be able to learn Torah. That's the whole idea, to learn Torah, at home. Imagine if you don't have any Sfarim at home, any books at home. So what are you going to do? You read a book. You read a different book. But here you get the mitzvah of Torah. You have it available in your house. So the Rosh is one authority. He's a unique authority. He holds that that's a fulfillment of the mitzvah. So interesting idea to try. Always have a Torah, a book ready that you could always learn from. That way you could. That's the idea behind this mitzvah of writing a Torah. Okay.